Oh, looks like this beach was a little too much beach for you, Ken.
If I wasn't severely injured, I would beat you off right now, Ken.
I'll beach off with you any day, Ken.
Hold my ice cream, Ken. All right, Ken, you're on. Let's beach off.
Anyone who wants to beach him off has to beach me off first.
I will beach both of you off at the same time.
But you don't even know how to beat yourself off. How are you going to beach both of us off? It doesn't make sense.
Ken?
You
Why are
shouldn't
you
even beat
getting
yourself off.
emotional?
You're going to beach both of us off.
Nobody's gonna beach anyone off.
Josh is gonna beach off all the hosts after the pod. This is spoilers. Hey everybody, this is Pappy. Sorry if my audio is bad. Just ahead of time, I left an XLR cord at our spoilers retreat, which just ended last weekend. Opening question: what's a cherished childhood toy that you have?
Oh.
Doesn't have to be a superlative, but just one that you really like, or a couple. Let's go Weestus to Eastus. Korey, you sounded ready.
I'm always ready for this question, bitch. What up? This is Korey, Kylo Ren memes, recording out of Simi Valley, California. Dude, I fucking love 90s vintage toys. And now it's kind of cool since it's been a long time since it was the 90s, and I can say that instead of like I collect toys, I can say I collect vintage toys, because that sounds like more respectable than like what you would imagine of like a basement dweller guy that just like has a bunch of like My Little Pony dolls, you know. So
hey, now
it's true.
No offense, Josh. I mean, it's fine. Anyway, there's a few different toys from the 90s that I like. One of them is called Mighty Max. Mighty Max is a child play set that it's like a little kind of clamshell. It opens up in your hand, and you have like little tiny like half-inch figures that go inside of this clamshell. It's usually like a dungeon or something fun.
Polly Pocket.
It was often called the boys' Polly Pocket, yes. There was a few different toy lines like that. There was actually X-Men ones as well, Josh, which I also liked, but they weren't as well designed as Mighty Max. Funny you mentioned that, actually. Polly Pocket is getting a movie because Mattel has realized that there is money to be made in movies based on old kids' toys. So they're just really going to start cranking them out. So get ready for a lot of bullshit thanks to this movie. I can go on. There's a lot. I like Skeleton Warriors. I talked about that on the Big Dumb Movie Indian in the Cupboard podcast, but I'll just keep it on Mighty Max for now because I know I tend to ramble for a very long time. So yeah, that's mine.
The guy who has a lot of My Little Pony toys, Josh.
If I do have any in this house, they are my daughters. I don't actually think they have My Little Pony, but there is a new MCU, guys. The Mattel Cinematic Universe. It's coming to a theater near you.
Magic 8-Ball movie?
I honestly heard the card game Uno could be getting a movie.
What the hell?
So ridiculous. And I have really good memories of that game with friends and family, but especially with best friend Drew at the now washed away Fort Myers Beach, Florida. We used to have a lot of fun with his grandparents playing Uno. But anyway, my toy, I hope Kylo maybe remembers this, maybe Zach, but there were the old Ghostbuster toys that were based on the cartoon television show. And I want to get into a couple of the specific items that I remember. Egon Spangler's toy, his toy was blonde. And if you squeezed his arm in, I think his tie came out like he was surprised, and his glasses and eyes like bugged out. Really loved playing with him. What's it called? The car that they always rode in.
The Ecto 1.
The Ecto 1 was just baller, and I actually got that when I was a kid, and it was like one of my favorite toys. Oh my god,
dude, you had the fucking Ecto 1 playset?
I didn't have like...
Brett would have been so jealous.
I didn't have like... I had some friends that had like the whole like warehouse thing that like unfolded.
Oh my god, the fire station?
Yeah, they had the whole fire station. I didn't have that, but I did have the Ecto 1 and a couple of like the actual like Egon, and I think a couple of the other characters. Great memories.
I want to
That's awesome.
add to this a little bit. I know it's not really my turn, but like you're right, Josh. That is totally like my kind of toy. Toys back then were made differently, and they're like such higher quality. They're like heavier. If you like pick up some new toys today that are supposed to be like the modern equivalent, you can really tell the quality has gone down. But I think it's amazing that you had the Ecto one, because that's like one of those that's like the gold mine of like kids' toys for like that kind of like playset. That's the kind of thing that like none of your friends would have, but maybe like one guy, and it's like, oh my god, he actually got it. It'd be like having the Technodrome for the Turtles toys. Remember the Turtles toys?
Oh,
Dude.
yes.
Yeah.
The kids that had the Technodrome, which were like, it was always like a cousin of a cousin, some like random guy, but it was like epic. It was like, oh my god, how did you get this fucking toy? They were so cool.
Before my turn ends, I want to know Zach and Korey's favorite favorite Ninja Turtle toy you ever had. Mine was, it was like, when Raphael's like in the disguise, the quote disguise with like the trench coat and the hat.
Coat.
It was that,
Yes,
but
totally.
with Donatello in that, and that for some reason was like my favorite Ninja Turtle toy.
That was a cool
okay.
toy. I definitely saw that at some point, and yes, I can picture it. It was freaking badass. It was a cool design.
Yeah, dude, that's sick. Do you want to answer yours, Zach, first?
Sure. So the first thing that came to mind was a character whose name escapes me. It's Worm something. He's a blue mutant monster dude with a green, like shredded t-shirt and a green backwards baseball cap. His eyes bug out, his mouth opens, his tongue bugs out. I think he might have been like a character that wasn't even on the freaking show because they just started cranking out like random designs.
Just stick the Ninja Turtles logo on there.
Yeah, they were just like, these toys are selling so hot, we're just going to make up random mutant characters. So yeah, I'll have to look up his name. I still have it. I still have the freaking toy in my closet somewhere, but it is a very crazy and very cool toy. Yeah, it's wild. I'll look up the name later, but yeah, worm guy, blue skin.
Kylo, can we round up pictures of these for the Instagram?
Oh,
there you go.
I'm all over it.
All right, what you got, Kylo?
Well, in classic 80s fashion, Zach, a lot of the toys were made first, and then they were brought into the show.
Oh, yes,
because
that's
really, these cartoons were just a mechanism to sell toys, right? So
true, so true.
One of my favorites was a Ninja Turtles figure that looked like a regular turtle, but if he was a robot, it was called Metalhead. So it was basically like a robot version of one of the Ninja Turtles. They did bring this character into the cartoon, and I believe he like helped them out. I think a lot of that show was, not just that show, but a lot of like kids media was kind of becoming friends with the villain eventually. I think we talked about that recently on a podcast, Josh.
Yeah, that's what the frogs from the Okiganobi swamp did too. Teenage Mutant Ninja Frogs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good pull there. But Metalhead is a really sick looking toy. Look it up sometime. It's fucking cool.
I just don't get this shit.
Shut up, Pappy.
You guys and your turtles.
This makes so much sense to be on a Barbie pod that we would talk about Ninja Turtles for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
That's very on
They're
brand.
toys. They're
Yeah,
toys.
exactly.
Barbie gets a movie. If only Ninja Turtles got its due, you know?
Typical Ken behavior, hijacking Barbie world to talk about a boy toy.
Hey, you're right.
Yeah, we're going full Ken here, Mojo Dojo, straight up.
Mojo Dojo Casa House. I'll go real quick too. This is Pappy. I don't know. I didn't have any like action figure things. My favorite toy ever was probably my Super Nintendo. That was like, I remember the day that I got it. It was like one of the best days of my life. NBA Jam, Super Mario All-Stars.
Oh, heck yeah.
Some classics in there. I never had a Barbie though. I had a sister who had Barbies. Did any of you guys have Barbies in your house growing up?
My sister did.
Why the fuck would I have a Barbie?
Jeez. Defensive about it.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I had a couple.
How many Barbies, Kylo?
I didn't have Barbies, but I actually did play with Barbies. I remember this very distinctly. I had a cousin, girl cousin, same age as me. And when I go to her place, all she had was girl toys, and they were mostly all Barbies. And I was a big toy kid, so I always wanted to play with toys everywhere I went. But that was all we had there. So I would kind of like angrily agree to play with Barbies with her, and I would get the Kens, and I'd say, okay, fine, they're married, I guess, but Ken is also a ninja. Shit like that, you know?
I gotta be honest, I hope this isn't too weird, but I specifically remember when I was like 4 or 5, and I like playing with a Barbie at the babysitters, because I didn't have one. I was just an only child at that point, only boy in the house, no girls. And so like...
No brother Jordan.
I just remember that moment realizing that this Barbie had boobs Like this toy had boobs. I don't know how else to describe it.
She's a real woman.
It's like maybe that's the moment where I like I actually like gain consciousness. Like,
Nice. Hey man, women have that power.
Well, Korey, since you're the Barbie expert, what did you think about the world of Barbie? Because I think like the marketing campaign for this was like super understated. I had no idea what this movie was going to be at all.
Yeah, I mean, this movie opens with the teaser for this movie, which is something I've never seen in my life.
Oh wow, yeah, you're right.
Since the beginning of time, since the first little girl ever existed, there have been dolls. But the dolls were always and forever baby dolls. Until...
The teaser for this was like captivating for some reason to the general public. People really took Barbie and ran with it. The public, I mean. Like before the movie was ever out, people were fucking on board with this movie. Just like the idea of it for some reason. Probably had to do with like the director being like pretty well liked and Margot Robbie being like very well beloved and seemingly a perfect fit for this movie. But to answer your question, Pappy, the world of Barbie, the world in which Barbie lives, the lead Barbie and the other Barbies and the Kens and one Alan, this world is amazing. It's beautiful. It's probably my favorite single thing about this movie is the way they designed and photographed the world of Barbie.
it immediately makes the first act stand out from all the other two acts because you're just exploring this world, and the set design is like really featured. I feel like more heavily towards the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, right off, you're hit with like so much like striking images of like what it would be like if these like small plastic things were converted into like life-size objects, but like also like disproportionately life-size usually. Like Barbie has a car, and this car is like small because if you think about like the Barbie doll, right? I think it's like a 12-inch figure or a 10-inch figure. And then the car, she goes in the car, but she's always like almost as big as the car, right?
Right.
That's the case here. And that's just one example, but there's a lot of little things like that. Some things look plastic and, you know, in reality, these things are not plastic, like maybe like foliage or whatnot. But just the way this place looks is fucking perfect.
I like the rules of it too, where it's like Margot Robbie can fly sometimes because that's how a kid would move when they get in like car accidents, or when Ken does hits the wave, he like flies like a kid playing with a doll would fly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Doing somersaults.
It's true.
What about Ken? Ryan Gosling. You mentioned some of the cast. I feel like Ryan Gosling being in this was also a big deal. Zach, what do you think about one of the Kens? There's many Kens, but Ryan Gosling specifically.
Oh, dude, perfectly cast. Literally not another human being on the planet who could have embodied Ken as well as Ryan Gosling. Because kind of like what you were saying with Margot Robbie, he just has such a high likability factor. Everybody loves Ryan Gosling. He's beloved. You know, he has that charisma factor through the freaking roof. And he did a great job of playing Ken dumb as a box of rocks, but still extremely likable. Like, he was just a fun, likable, charismatic dude, even though he was really dumb.
Why is he rocking the Between the Pines look? Wasn't Ken typically like a brunette?
Yeah.
He's got the bleach blonde hair. Looks like he's going to beat someone's ass.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because I don't know, it's been a long time since I've seen an actual Ken doll, but I think you're right. I think his hair was more sturdy blonde, tannish kind of color, as opposed to like platinum blonde. I'm just assuming that they wanted to make him match Margot Robbie's hair, you know, to kind of really make them like a visual pair, if you will. And there's just, let's be honest, there's just something funny about the pure bleached blonde platinum hair. It just makes him seem even like more of a male bimbo, you know?
Yeah. I told you that I had played with my cousin Holly and her Barbies, and I would like round up her Kens, right? And those would be like my toys. And I noticed, and I've always remembered this, there's a very like distinct difference between the Ken and Barbie dolls in quality. The Ken's head is completely different than the Barbie head, the doll themselves. The Ken head, first of all, it comes off super easy. So Ken can very easily be decapitated. And
Like
the
a
Barbie doll
praying
is like
mantis.
stuck
Praying
on.
mantis.
It's a feature, not a bug.
The Ken head is soft. You can like squeeze the Ken head. You can't squeeze the Barbie head. And the Ken hair, which is blonde, but it looks a little darker because it's like painted on. Barbie has actual hair that comes off, right? Like fake hair that comes down. So this plays into the movie, I feel, because already Ken is like second fiddle in quality to Barbie just as a toy.
Where is Ken / Ryan Gosling at existentially? Because that's like some of the best humor of the movie to me.
I mean, existentially, I'd say he's a simp. Big time.
That's true.
I've never heard existential and simp used in the same sentence before.
Existentially speaking, I'd call him a simp.
Wow.
He has no existence outside of Barbie, right? I think like Helen Mirren, the narrator, literally says Barbie's happy every day and Ken's only happy when Barbie's looking at him. He lacks an identity, but I feel like listen, it's a rough go being a Ken in the Barbie world.
Got a squishy head.
Yeah.
Well, he is an airhead.
As big an airhead as Alan, though. I mean, Alan's the lowest of the low. At least you're a Ken.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Ken. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
I can.
Hi, Ken. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Ken.
I got us both ice cream.
Cool.
Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Oh, hi, Alan.
There are no multiples of Alan. He's just Alan.
Yeah, I'm confused about that.
Yeah, this are like really good touches with this movie, like introducing like these random Barbie characters, because I do remember seeing a lot of random Barbie characters, like commercials for them, like in between episodes of like Salute Your Shorts and stuff, right? You're a kid and you see like, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? That's not Barbie. That's like, I was gonna say Gwen, but that's from Small Soldiers. Like that's like little sister Stacy. It's like, she has a sister? Do they have parents? Does Barbie like, has she adopted Stacy? A lot of questions, right? But like, it's cool that they bring people like Alan and like the pregnant one, I don't remember her name, into this as kind of just like, there's only one of them because no one really has those. No one really talks about those or play with those.
Michael Cera's demeanor as Alan is delicious. The crowd the theater I saw it in loved him. I heard that when they first tested this movie with audiences, there wasn't as much Michael Cera, and then they got the audience feedback and like tripled his role basically in the edit. And I think there's something about like, he looks like he's really frustrated to be a doll. Like he plays that really well.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something that just really works about him in that role that I can't really put a finger on.
He's almost like he can see some of the absurdity of the situation, right?
Yeah.
Like, when the Kens are yelling, beat each other off, he's just like, what the hell are you guys talking about?
But he also knows he can't do anything. Like they'll just beat him up or something. Like he's the weakest of the dolls, maybe.
Yeah, he seems pretty content with like the status quo in Barbie Land. One of the weird things about this movie is there's not really a villain. You know, there's not really like one bad guy, but it is more about the dolls and their identity. Josh, what's Margot Robbie's existential crisis? What do you think about her kind of start of the hero's journey?
Well, she's not a simp, and she doesn't like...
Not at all.
She doesn't like Ryan Gosling's Ken. She's just flat out not in love with this dude. She likes girls' nights. You know, she's out there partying every single day, living her best life until I think the scene that kind of breaks everything is they're dancing. It's this big choreographed party dance thing. And all of a sudden she asks, do any of you ever think about dying? And there's like a big record scratch and the whole party stops. And I think she like kind of covers her tracks and she's like, dying to take the next shot of tequila or something like that. And everyone just starts dancing again. And so these thoughts kind of start creeping up on her, don't they, Kylo?
Yes, Barbie. This Barbie, there's a lot of Barbies, but the one we follow learns the sad truth of reality, which is existence is pain. And, things start to change for her in this world. And, you were talking about the things that she does, like, as Barbie, right? We see her in the beginning in her, like, natural habitat, in her normal day-to-day, which is just, like, all these lovely things. But it's, like, the world of Barbie portrays, like, the role of women from, like, the perspective of the Mattel Barbie product.
Right.
If that makes any sense. So, like, the way this world is shaped is completely based on, like, those features. But this one starts to become a little different. This Barbie gets flat feet is one of the things. That's one of the big things, actually. Because, the Barbie toys, they have they're like on their toes all the time. I remember that distinctly. Like, so you can just slide the high heels right on them.
Yeah.
But there's a few other things, she starts having thoughts about things that these other Barbies just don't think about, like death and, I don't know, things that aren't just like vibing and dancing. And, one of the things that she sees is cellulite, which I think that one was a bit strange because I didn't really see any cellulite when I was supposed to.
The movie called it out at one point. Like Helen Mirren comes in and was like, Margot Robbie was the wrong person to cast if you're trying not to look beautiful.
I'm not stereotypical Barbie pretty. Note to the filmmakers, Margot Robbie is the wrong person to cast if you want to make this point.
That's another thing that I heard was added after the test audiences. So that must have been some of the feedback. Like, yo, this scene's getting a little preachy when you have Margot Robbie's beautiful face saying it.
Mm-hmm. Like how ugly she is because she doesn't have as much makeup.
She's like, we're all flawed. Can't you see I'm so flawed? And it's like, no, I can't see that.
No.
I really can't. She is a really, really beautiful woman.
Not according to Twitter, man. She's mid. If you get on Twitter, that's what they're saying out there.
Say
Is that a
what?
Ben Shapiro take?
How do they justify that?
It was a ridiculous meme. But
oh wow.
So Zach, can you explain maybe the lore a little bit? Or what's actually happening? Why Barbie is having these thoughts? It's kind of a wild topic, kind of like Lego movie-esque.
Yes. I mean, this isn't the part of the film that I'm the biggest expert on, but I'll give it a shot. So from what I understood, there is a mother and her daughter, and the mother played with Barbie when she was a child and formed a strong connection with Barbie. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but she basically gifted or handed down her Barbie to her daughter. But her daughter was going through her own kind of existential crisis and experiencing dark, negative thoughts. Life wasn't going so well. And so then the emotional turmoil, the negative emotions from the daughter started seeping into Barbie herself and intruding into her world, and that kind of made her, made Barbie have these kind of dark existential questions. It woke her up from the never-ending party of her Barbie world existence and introduced some human doubt into her world, ideas like aging, suffering, dying, etc. Am I leaving something out, or is that basically what it was?
Yeah, that's mostly right, except it's kind of revealed that it's actually the mom who's influencing Barbie.
That's right.
Not so much the daughter, which is kind of a little bit of a twist along the way.
You're right, because the daughter abandons the toys and then the mom starts playing with them again? Is that what happens?
Something to that effect.
Well, she starts thinking about them and drawing them.
Oh,
more so.
That's right. Her drawings that she was doing, yeah.
I feel like I have an analog to that in my life. And I know we talked about TMNT once already, Pap.
Mm-hmm.
But around the time that, maybe a couple years after Sin City came out, I started to get this idea in my head of Ninja Turtles kind of in that kind of a world. And specifically, I had this thought of Raphael, who's always my favorite, as a really torn up and depressed turtle. Half his face is burned in a sewer. You know how there's steam discharges in sewers? He just got fucked up at one point. Maybe an eye is kind of bulgy. And I also envisioned him instead of having lost a sigh like he does in the original film. Maybe he just loses like a whole hand. Like he's got an arm missing. I just was envisioning a world where things are like really gritty and gross for the turtles, and it started to get really cool. And so I wonder if it reminded me of like this woman. She's like thinking of Barbie, but kind of like updating the toy to like where she's at mentally at the time, right?
True.
Mm-hmm. It's funny you say that because like a couple years ago, Josh, there was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles graphic novel kind of like that called The Last Ronin.
How nasty does it get?
It's dark and depressing. There's only one turtle left. Like all the other ones are dead. And it's like kind of like a revenge quest from what I understand. And like it's well, I don't want to say any spoilers, but there's a kind of a cool reveal.
How does TMNT keep hijacking the Barbie podcast? I don't understand.
90s toys from our childhood, I guess. There's that common thread.
What is the dojo? What is it called?
Mojo Dojo Casa House.
This is like this is like the Barbie comes back to her dollhouse and it's just filled with Ninja Turtles.
It's true.
But would that happen if the mom thought about Ninja Turtles? Like the mom psychically controls Barbie's thoughts, like she draws it into existence?
We're gonna try to make sense of this now?
Well, that's the fun thing is like it doesn't make any sense. This movie is like a cartoon.
Yeah, cartoon rules. So basically like it doesn't matter, right? Like that's kind of like where it's left. It's like, how do these things interact with each other? How does the Barbie world and the human world, how do they connect? It's like, well, through like people's imagination. Okay, fine. Just, leave it at that.
It's true.
Which I think is why the whole parts in Barbie world are like a 10 out of 10 for me. It looks amazing. It's hilarious. I didn't like some of the real world plots as much. Zach, was there anything from the real world that stood out to you? There's a lot that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you on what you just said, but I'll say that one thing that I found kind of fun about the real world was, of course, Ken's little transformative journey that he goes on, where he goes from being the secondary ignored simp in Barbie world, and then as he's traversing the real world, he's looking around, he's like, oh my God, men run everything. And he starts to kind of get high on the power of being a man and realizing that he could also be like that. And so I found it very hilarious and amusing. I thought some of the best comedy came from when Ken brings the manosphere patriarchal attitude into Barbie world in a hilariously over-the-top fashion. That was a part that I found pretty amusing.
That's great shit.
Yeah,
like, he gets it right away in the human world.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like he's eating it up. And Ryan Gosling is so funny.
Oh,
like
God, yeah.
It's so great to see him in comedies. But I have a quote here from the movie. He says, I feel what can only be described as admired, but not ogled, and there's no undertone of violence. And Barbie says, mine very much has an undertone of violence.
Yes, it's true. That was a great moment.
There's another moment that I loved in the real world where there's like some construction workers kind of like they're hooting and hollering at Barbie. And she's like, well, actually, we can't do anything because I don't have a vagina and he doesn't have a penis. Points at Ken. And then as they're rollerblading away, Ryan Gosling goes, hey, man, I have all the genitals or something like that. That was really funny.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that scene was great. And another thing that made me laugh was when she says she doesn't have a vagina, one of the construction workers was just like, that's okay. Like he was just like, I can work with this. Like it was just, oh my God, dude.
He wants her personality.
There you go. And also I laughed because right after she says the line about the undertones of violence, she sees the construction site. And in Barbie world, the construction site is run all by Barbie women, and it's like a safe place of female power. So she sees the construction site in the real world, and she says, look, there's a construction site. Let's go there. Or she saw it as like a safe haven, which was like, no, just no, Barbie. Not in the real world.
If Greta Gerwig was brave, these construction workers could have gotten a little deeper. I felt like it was it felt a little kids glovey.
Sure.
There was no cussing in this scene.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Dude, they bleep out, like, one of the Barbies says, like, fuck at one point. Like, what the fuck? I don't remember. She's like coming down the stairs and there's like a Barbie logo.
Yeah, that's later.
What was this movie rated? PG?
PG-13.
It was PG-13, surprisingly, yeah.
Pappy?
Yeah.
We're talking about the real world, and this is the thing that reminded me or made me think of you. I feel like this movie is dancing on the edge of a knife with its relationship with Mattel.
Dude,
What-
yeah.
what-
I did think about that.
You always like to weigh in on like when Universal talks about Jaws and you know what I mean? Like what's your thought about like just Mattel's presence here as a producer of the movie, surely, right?
Yeah, a Mattel motion picture, like it said in the opening credits. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Nice.
I didn't love how it had like the Warner Brothers. It had like a big Warner Brothers Discovery sign behind Will Ferrell in the boardroom. I don't know if you guys saw that, but like the only other building you can see is the Warner Brothers Discovery sign. But like I don't know. The movie can't go like full villain Mattel because of what it is. But at the same time, the movie's also like shitting on the creator of Barbie for dodging her taxes. You know what I mean? They took shots at her.
True.
So I think it did a pretty decent job. Like, I mean, like, would you say Will Ferrell's the main antagonist, Josh, of the movie?
One of the funniest things I heard about, like in a review about this movie, was that the real world CEOs of Mattel are like less real than the Barbie world or something like that.
Yeah, right.
All I can think of in my brain, like recollecting, like remembering this movie, it just seems like 12 Will Ferrells jogging around making jokes. Like, I don't really remember even what their plot point is. It's just like 12 different sized Will Ferrells jogging around.
Yeah. You know what it is? I just thought of this. In Zoolander, when Derek is like hypnotized and he sees Magatu in his like hypnotic vision, it's like Will Ferrell is playing that version of Magatu all the time in this.
It's true. He really is.
Excuse me. Have you seen a group of women on wheels?
Actually, yeah, there was a blonde brunette and a tween. They rollerblade in that direction.
Oh, no. First step is always rollerblading. Excuse me, sir? They've gone to Barbie Land. Oh, no. She's brought humans there with her. This could mean extremely weird things for our world. Like what? Nothing any of our collective imaginations could ever dream of.
A podcast hosted by two wise trees, or a choir of 2,000 young fathers.
Not even close. We've got to get to Barbie Land. Go, find some planes now. Just pick a direction and run.
This movie has like a wild energy. Like,
God, yeah.
Like it's really good. But yeah, the other thing is like Josh is like if Will Ferrell's the main bad guy, at the same time he's like, I genuinely only got in this business to inspire little girls. Like he doesn't care about Ken at all. He says at one point because like, there's like a whole plot point where like the Ken doll is now flying off the shelves.
But he's also completely incompetent, so he's not like a scary bad guy at all either.
Yeah. He's comic relief for sure.
Yeah, he's Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. It's the same thing with like the daughter too, right? Because I feel like the movie is kind of like critical of the daughter's attitude, but I feel like there's also some people who like might literally think Barbie's a fascist. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, Korey, what do you think about the family dynamics of the mom and the daughter?
The daughter is brought into the movie and then like abruptly forgotten about. Like the daughter, Sasha, I think is her name. Like she has this like role where Barbie is supposed to meet her and Barbie is supposed to, I guess, like repair like whatever damage is happening here, but it's not really coming from her. So when it's discovered that it's the mom, the daughter's role becomes to like kind of complain about agreeing to participate in this until she just eventually agrees and goes along with it, and then basically has no more lines in the rest of the movie. Like when she's done complaining, she doesn't really have anything to do. So I didn't love her involvement in the movie.
One of my coworkers pointed out that they thought the scene in the cafeteria was pretty weak. Almost for like the same reason that Helen Mirren's voiceover came in to say like, if someone's going to make this point, it shouldn't be Margot Robbie, but it just seemed really unrealistic that like a full grown adult such as Margot Robbie could walk into that situation and people would just be automatically mean to her. Something seems stilted about that cafeteria scene. And I think that's that teenager's kind of like main, like that's her shining moment, I would say, right?
That's like her big scene, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
What do you guys feel about that scene? Like it? Not?
Didn't sound like the kind of thing a kid would be able to articulate that well unless it was rehearsed, which I guess technically it was.
There's something else weird about it. It's like she doesn't buy that this is a real life Barbie, but she kind of like plays into the argument as if she is a Barbie.
I mean, they're full on adults walking around in a junior high. It's a little bit weird in and of themselves. In these like cowboy costumes.
Well, that's never pointed out to be weird by anyone.
Would you expect the movie to do that, right? Like some teacher would be like, who the hell are you in this cowboy costume checking
Right.
out all of our truck and horse books?
Are you here for the assembly?
Yeah.
That could have, yes, there could have been something, an interaction like that with the teacher.
I did like later when Margot Robbie's like, I'm not a fascist. I don't control the flow of commerce or the railroads.
Yes. Okay, that was a good...
That was great.
That was kind of like the saving grace of that whole scene for me. I was like, that's... What a funny response. Like,
Yes, it was.
in the most literal sense.
Like we said, Ryan Gosling's back in Ken World. He's had his whole montage of Rocky and mini fridges and golf and baseball and all the man stuff.
Just observing men.
Josh, were there any real differences between Ken World and our spoilers retreat? I feel like it was a very similar vibe. A lot of green going on.
Oh man. So there's a few women on the spoilers retreat, some couple situations, and I hope they felt a little more welcomed than the Barbies did here.
The Barbies were perfectly happy.
Yeah, they're perfectly happy. So in the movie, Barbie comes back from the real world and she finds Ken has transformed Barbie Town into Ken Town. So I don't know. They're like shooting hoops, lifting weights, listening to Joe Rogan.
That really hit. Yeah. Oh,
but you know what I mean? They're popping creatine pills.
Bow
They're
hunting.
bow hunting.
Yeah,
They're wearing,
elk jerky.
wearing furs.
Dude, it is like the spoilers retreat because they become total film bros too.
Oh yeah, talking about the Godfather and stuff.
Let me explain to you about the Godfather.
And that really ties into our plans as well in a kind of an alarming way to me.
I felt a little bit self-conscious saying we're doing a 6-part episode or series on the Godfather.
Yeah, so we can explain it to everyone.
I thought one of the best parts of the movie, well, just I think the use of music overall is really good. Maybe we got the song I'm about to talk about playing already, but Ken busts out the guitar and they play this band even earlier, but like the use of Push by Matchbox 20 is so excellent. I don't hate that song. I kind of like that song, but that did not stop me from thinking that this kind of like maybe mockery of it is just so incredibly hilarious. It's great.
Yeah, dude.
They nailed it. They absolutely nailed it.
Well, they like refer to that type of situation like so accurately, I feel. And it's like the movie thing with us. Like it kind of makes us a little uncomfortable. I could see a lot of the things that Ken do, like the Kens do, like making other guys uncomfortable maybe a little bit. Maybe some guys like us kind of like laugh with it. Maybe some guys would actually get offended if they see these things. Like, we're not like that. But I mean, some of us are. But specifically the line about like, would you like me to sing this song to you while I stare into your eyes uncomfortably for 3 minutes or something?
Yeah. I'm picking up what Josh is putting down about the soundtrack. Like, the closer I am to Fine, like when they kept singing that in the car with different montages, that was funny. And then there's like this Barbie song, this main Barbie song that plays at the beginning when she's going through her Barbie world. And I think at the end it's like, R is for thoughts of death or something. I don't remember the exact joke, but it's something like that.
Oh, it's like the theme song that's like very literal about what's happening, sort of idea.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. There's also a shout out to Tame Impala. They got some notes on the soundtrack as well.
like we mentioned though, in this Ken land, the Barbies have been brainwashed. Korey, you want to take us through just sort of the end here? Because I don't know, like I said, there's no real villain. There's not a ton of conflict. It's all sort of internal things that they have to overcome.
The change in the Ken's mentality has like changed the foundation of the Barbie Land into what is becoming, but not, it hasn't fully become, but basically like Ken Land, or I think it's called Kendom or something to that effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of comedy happening here before I talk about the change. It's just really funny stuff. Like you guys mentioned the Mojo Dojo Casa House, which I think is going to be played out in probably about 48 hours from now. But for the time being, I still find it like really funny. Really just the way Ken talks. I feel like he says a lot of things twice. Like he uses a lot of redundant vocabulary. He says something to Barbie like, "Do you want to come be my wife, bride?"
Yeah.
The way he phrases things is just like absurd. A lot of like frat boy energy going on here.
Oh yeah.
I love when Ken was like checking out the books on the horses and he's talking to that one random parent and he's like, "This is the patriarchy? I shall seek my fortune now."
But the mother of Sasha, Gloria, I believe, she helps snap the Barbies out of this hypnotic state that they're stuck in under the Ken's influence, right? Because you would think that main Barbie would show up and then the other Barbies would be like, "What happened to our place? Like all the Kens are acting weird and we don't like any of this." But it's actually not the case. They're all on board with it because again, they're hypnotized. So Gloria, the mother, kind of gives an impassioned speech to one of the Barbies that's hypnotized that snaps her out of it. And Josh, what were some of the points she talks about there in that speech? Like this like real like feminist kind of like ideology or like, I don't know, like focus like bullet points that help them realize and snap out of it.
You have to be thin, but not too thin. You have to be pretty, but not too pretty.
You gotta work hard, but not work too hard. You gotta be an American, but not too American. You gotta be Raph, but not too Raph.
Not too Raph.
Honestly, like the speech and her acting in it when she gives it the first time, I think is good. It's good stuff. It is a little weak that it's like a montage of her giving the speech in the van to like wake up the Barbies. I don't know. That seemed like television episode 9 sort of shit.
I can see this scene like really upsetting certain people, maybe. Like, I know that there was like a now famous, I guess, Ben Shapiro like review of this where he supposedly destroys this movie.
Dude,
he burned a Barbie in a dumpster.
Yeah, he did? He puts a Ken and Barbie doll in the car in a dumpster and burns it.
Oh,
like
no.
He's like full angry video game nerd now with his like theatrics.
Yeah.
Is it more like a video game nerd or more like a terrorist burning an American flag? It's like, it's really stupid and outlandish. She started a fire with plastic for this.
Yeah.
Just real quick, the discourse around this movie is really weird. Like, I've seen people say this is like a conservative movie. I've seen people say this is like a feminist movie. Like, it's all over the place, like, with the way people have reacted to this. It's very... Ben Shapiro's take was insane.
He breathed in burning plastic fumes to shit on this movie harder.
Well, here's the thing, I think, with like the arguments, like maybe against like this speech, for example. I don't think it takes anything away from me as a man that like a woman is venting like her struggles as existing with that gender, right? There's certain things that we have as men that we have to face in our life that are specific to us and that, you know, we have struggles of our own too. The fact that a woman has her own struggles doesn't like mean that I don't have any.
Yeah, how would she like to get kicked in the balls? See how she feels.
So, I mean, I don't know exactly what the arguments are against this movie. So I'm probably like completely just straw manning. Maybe it's totally inaccurate, but I just feel like watching this, I'm like, oh yeah, some people are going to roll their eyes right here. But my only criticism would be that like this and some other aspects are maybe just a little heavy-handed. So they could be executed in I think a more subtle way that would be like maybe more digestible to those types, but it's fine.
The thing is, like, Barbie as a product is like heavy-handed. You know what I mean?
Is.
Like, they're kind of like making fun of that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the speech is really good. I think the movie kind of plays for everybody, right? Too, because I think at one point they say, like, you know, it's okay to want to be a mom. It's okay to want to be the president. And even like the Kens are now like, they have like a circuit judgeship in Barbie Land. You know, they're moving up.
Living under Sharia law or whatever. They're like,
Sharia law?
Yeah, they're moving towards that. That's such a bad joke. Great. Damn it. I'm going to edit that out. But
well, like the Kens are very empty in the beginning of this movie, right? Like it's almost like their existence is not very like good or fun for them. So when they get a taste of like a different type of existence, it's like being a drug addict. Like they really just like take it as far as it can go because they're trying to like fill this void that is just like inherent to their world, to the Mattel Barbie world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
The soft-headed Ken world.
But Zach, it's interesting because at the like Ken's arc is that what we just talked about, like taking it too far, then kind of coming back. Barbie's arc is, I guess, like choosing the imperfect real world, right? Like the movie, like, the last line of the movie is like she's going to a gynecologist. You know?
Yes.
What do you think about the Barbie's arc here at the end?
It was a very interesting, curious arc. I've actually found myself thinking a lot about the end of the movie and where Barbie ends up and where Ken ends up. And I've talked about it with a lot of friends. And it's so damn open-ended to me. Like, there isn't a clean-cut, like, union of Barbie and Ken like you would expect there to be. Like, you would expect that Barbie and Ken both go in their own crazy directions, but then they would come back together at the end and, like, you know, be in love and stronger because of their trials and tribulations and becoming more human. But that doesn't happen at all, not even remotely. Ken, like, gosh, how would you even describe where Ken ends up at the end of the movie? Is he better off than he was at the beginning of the movie? I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I
think so.
Like, I want articulate. I'm curious to hear because I'm struggling to like figure out like what is Ken? Where is Ken's end point at the end? Like, what's his deal at the end? He came back from the manosphere. We can all, you know, see that easily. He realized that wasn't the way to go. But where does it leave him? He's still alone. He's still kind of like a secondary dude in Barbie world, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, he is, but, you know, this movie's about identity. And Ken has to find his identity. And that's where it's left off.
Yes.
And I mentioned that this movie can be heavy-handed. I think it is a bit here.
Sure.
It is a bit with the Barbie arc as well.
Yes.
But, you know, Ken has to find out what is it that he can do with his life or with their lives that is not just in service of this woman. And I don't mean like in service of in a slavery sense, but in just in a general existence sense.
Yeah. He was fixated on her, basing his entire life around winning her favor, basically. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so at the end, so Ken, he realizes that going full frat bro is not the way to go. He realizes the error of his ways. So I guess you could make the argument that his ending is pretty open-ended. Like you said, he now knows that he has to try to formulate his own healthy identity, but we're not shown how he does that. It kind of is just left to be continued, I guess you could say, for Ken. Not a whole lot of resolution there from what I recall.
He's basically like Cro-Magnon man realizing he is a conscious being.
Sure. Yeah,
he's like, I am Ken. I
think therefore I'm Ken.
Yeah. And so it's the start of his self-awareness discovery, I guess. Who knows? Maybe we'll see in Barbie 2 where his quest ends up.
Maybe we'll see in Uno, the movie.
yeah. Ken will appear as a secondary character in the Uno movie. Continue his story.
Ooh, he'll play the reverse card on someone's ass.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So, hey, I realized I totally derailed the original question, which was asking me about what did I think about Barbie's ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so we can agree that she chose the complex and imperfect world of the real world. So she goes from having no genitals to now she has genitals and all the complications that come with that. You know, life, death, aging, childbirth, child raising.
Cellulite.
Yeah, cellulite, all those complicated human things. Now she's embraced that. But here's something. I tried actually talking to a female friend about this, and we didn't really come to any resolution. My question that I had was, at the end, when she goes to the gynecologist's office, she's wearing some pretty bland, sensible clothes, right? She's got, like, tan jacket, jeans, flats. She's not looking particularly dolled up. She's not wearing bright, saturated colors. And I remember thinking to myself and being, like, slightly annoyed by that. I was like, well, damn it, why can't Barbie be flamboyant and ultra feminine and kind of embracing
Legally
her
Blonde.
Yeah. Because I thought to myself, there are women who love that aspect. They embrace that. They love makeup. They love, you know, doing their hair. They love bright, fun, crazy, colorful visual clothes. Like, that's not a inherently bad thing. I know that with Barbie, it's obviously cartoonishly over the top how extreme she takes it. But, like, I don't know. I guess I don't really have a super clear-cut answer here. I just found myself a little annoyed by how they had her dress really bland at the end and, like, super, like, just kind of, like, trying to downplay her femininity or whatever. Because I just thought to myself, well, damn it, what's wrong with femininity? Why does Barbie have to become asexual at the end? You know,
Barbie's a commie now.
Yeah, Barbie's a commie. Yeah. Although she's not asexual, obviously, because she's going to the gynecologist, which is like, but it's not really a fun sexuality. It's a real world consequences problematic sexuality, you know, like the not so fun part of sexuality, which is going to the gynecologist, you know, versus the, you know, Hollywood Barbie, the fun ditzy Barbie who's just, you know, super girly and enjoying life and has problems. Exactly.
That was in my updated version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that, like, Leo has to go to get a colonoscopy.
There you have it, man. There you have it. He's fully embracing middle age. Yeah.
Leo.
Yeah.
Don't.
Dude. Dang, man. This is a turtle movie that needs to happen. I want to see this.
Did you guys have the preview for the cartoon TMNT?
Oh, you talking about like the one that's just now coming out, Mutant
Mayhem
it's out. Or whatever? Oh yeah.
Are you excited for it?
I have seen all the trailers. Yes, it looks fun. It's a different take, you know. It's a different take for sure. The turtles' personalities are more like childlike and like just different somehow than what I was raised on. So it'll take some adjustment.
That trailer for TMNT played during Barbie, and they did like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like toy skit. They did like a claymation with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toys. You guys remember that? Did you see that?
I
didn't
don't
get that.
think I saw that, man. I do not recall any such claymation.
Maybe not claymation, but it's like the toys and stop animation.
Stop motion. Yeah, stop motion. Yeah. I did not see that.
Pappy, are we in final thoughts-ish, sort of?
I think, we're about there. Yeah.
We're talking about Barbie's arc, and I think there's actually some weak just film moments here at the end of the movie in regards to this arc. I mentioned already the montage of speeches in the van to like wake up the Barbies. I think it kind of starts there. There's it's maybe kind of touching in the moment, but there's this weird stilted moment with Margot Robbie and an old woman on the bench where she calls the old woman beautiful. And the old woman like is a great actor and I love her in that moment. But it's very like Forrest Gumpy, weirdly, in the middle of this movie.
It was.
There's also a black and white montage that looks like stock footage of like girls playing with dolls with their moms. It's just like kind of a cheap heart tug, I feel like. And then one more thing. There's Barbie in like the classic Matrix white room talking to like the architect.
Oh,
So like,
yeah.
there's just so much
There's a lot of
shit
Matrix in this
going
movie.
on at the end of this movie, and a lot of it seems like
Yes.
I don't know if it's super well done here at the end, boys.
Yeah, what is this, Girl the Matrix?
It is literally.
Like-
You cracked the code, man.
Kate McKinnon, who we haven't talked about, she gives her a red pill, blue pill choice. Like she's like,
Yeah.
you take the pink shoe or the plain sandal or whatever.
You're right, literally.
Yeah, and she is like a combination of Morpheus and the Oracle.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
What do you guys think about Kate McKinnon? I think she's funny. I thought she was good in this role. I like the physicality of her performance, like doing the splits and like turning her head like Barbie.
Yeah, I think most of the comedy from her is the physicality more so than anything she says. I don't know, man. Just like her delivery of things, I think it's funny in principle, but like didn't do as much for me as some of the other parts of the movie.
Another character we didn't talk about, the mom from Matilda, plays, I guess we talked about her a little bit. The
Rhea
creator,
Perlman.
yeah, of Barbie. She was Danny DeVito's wife at one point, right?
Yes,
She
that
was
is
in-
correct.
Yeah. Thought she was good. Any other John Cena
Oh,
makes a
yeah.
cameo.
Yeah, I got final thoughts as it pertains to John Cena.
Yeah.
Couldn't help but notice while watching this that there's a lot of fucking superheroes in this movie, man. A lot of them. Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. Pretty common. John Cena, who also worked with Margot Robbie in a DC movie, he is Peacemaker. Peacemaker is a great series on HBO, by the way. DC superhero stuff. Very funny, James Gunn. One of the Kens that I think probably like the second main Ken, Asian Ken. His name's Simu Liu. He plays Shang-Chi. He's in the MCU.
Ooh, love that. Love
Good
that
point.
Marvel snap card, baby. One of the best.
Shit, fuck Shang-Chi. Everyone hates Shang-Chi. Come on. Alexandra Shipp, she is one of the Barbies. She was Storm in X-Men Apocalypse. Another one of the Kens is Kingsley Benadir. He played Gravik in a Marvel show that just finished that everyone is shitting on called Secret Invasion. He was like the main villain in that show. Helen Mirren is the narrator. She was in Shazam too. No one really cares. But Ariana Greenblatt, who was Sasha, the kid, like the 13-year-old, she was young Gamora in Avengers Infinity War. So lots of superheroes.
That's crazy. I never made that
The
connection.
Mattel Cinematic Universe.
There it is, folks. There it is.
I wanted to ask you, Pappy, real quick, if I may. When the Kens go to war with each other, there's a moment that I think is like really great. Like it's funny, obviously, and it's like played really funny. And like their idea of war as it pertains to like this particular world is like just really slapsticky and just like a bunch of like silly, basically like
Dancing.
slap fights.
Yeah.
But when the two main Kens like face off, when they like show down on the battlefield, it's like, you know, Aragorn and like that fucking troll. Like it's like the two leaders of each side. It doesn't become a fight. It becomes like a battle of like interpretive dance.
Yes.
Where they like, they seem to like come to an agreement during the dance. Is that what you were kind of like picking up on?
Oh yeah. I mean, they bond over the dance. They give their best moves. Both of them do. I thought that dance number was great. And I think we mentioned this earlier. Ryan Gosling is really fucking funny. Like as a comedic actor, like Nice Guys, this, I don't know. Like the whole thing is so absurd and cartoony and fun. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Even like the costumes that they're all wearing are freaking great. I wouldn't be surprised if it's got like a best costume nomination come Oscar time.
Good call.
What will it take for her to see the man behind the tan and fight for me? I'm just Ken and I'm enough, and I'm great at doing stuff. Hey, check me out, yeah, I'm just Ken, baby.
Last final thought that I had, I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about this, but the Barbenheimer phenomenon. If you're listening to this in the far future, in the year 2023, Barbie and Oppenheimer came out on the same weekend, and there were memes galore about this. There'd be like a building blowing up and then pink smoke coming out of it and be like Barbenheimer, like found or something like that. It ended up being the 4th biggest domestic box office weekend of all time.
Whoa.
Which is pretty fucking crazy.
That's nuts.
Josh, as a concept, Barbenheimer, are movies back? Are we good to go?
Hollywood needs medicine, my lord.
That's awesome.
You would like to say that movies are back, but there's like strikes.
Yeah.
Movies are fucked right now.
True. Good
I don't know
point.
where this is going. I think a good sign is take this for what it's worth, but people are saying this is like a good sign that people want original movies back, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, cynical me says it's an original movie, but this is by like one of the best directors working. So it's not exactly like just some indie movie, half of it. And then the other half of it is like, yeah, maybe it's an original movie, but now they're making a Mattel cinematic universe about it. So it's kind of like...
And Oppenheimer was based on a book, which was, Robert Oppenheimer's book about those events. So, I mean, original is like basically a way to say it's not a superhero movie right now, I think.
It's true. It's true.
Which is, I think, is as good as we're going to get, Like, this is as close to originality as we will see.
Well, I just worry they're going to learn the wrong lesson from this, because I feel like it is more like what Josh said. It was like a legit director doing Barbie, legit cast, went straight to theaters, like no alternative streaming option first couple of weeks, and the takeaway from Warner Brothers is going to be Mattel Cinematic Universe. They
already have made.
So
they've already extracted the wrong ideas from this whole thing, Pappy. You're right. It's already done. Like the movies that have been announced, like you guys were joking about, they're gonna already fucking happen. One of them is Hot Wheels.
Oh, Jesus.
A Hot Wheels movie? One of them's Magic fucking 8-Ball.
No, what's happening in the Uno movie?
Dear God, dude, that is such a Can you imagine having to write that script, dude? Like, Jesus Christ, what a fucking...
Reverse!
Yeah, exactly.
And at the end, he
Draw
has the
two.
wild draw 4 up his sleeve the entire time. It's so, like, what the hell?
It's rough.
I want to make an early prediction about Magic 8-Ball. It's gonna be like one of those really, really shitty January horror releases.
Oh, I can believe it.
Let's take that on the record. Magic 8-Ball, it's got to be a horror movie, and it's going to be like one of the worst you've ever seen.
Mattel Cinematic Universe goes dark and gritty.
Dude, I could see it being like a 90s kid gets rich movie. Like he realizes the 8-Ball is always right. So he starts making like Wall Street business decisions based on it. He's like a day trader, but uses the 8-Ball.
Don't make them like they used to, Josh.
It's Richie Rich, but with the 8-Ball.
I want to see that movie.
It's a blank check.
Pretty much.
Stumps and checks in.
That's what we need, an orangutan.
The thing I'll say about like the whole Barbenheimer thing, like it was pretty freaking sick. Like that first weekend, like half of the crowd was like dressed in all pink, and like the other half was like Chris Nolan dudes
wearing a fedora. My lady.
Yeah. Okay. I literally saw on Barbie's opening night, I went to the theater, I saw a bunch of people dressed in like Barbie getups, just like you're talking about. The pink dresses, like it was basically like a fucking Comic-Con of
My
like.
girlfriend did that, yeah.
There you go. But I saw a group of 5 guys that were all wearing suits and hats. I shit you not.
Wow, that is funny.
That meme of Cillian Murphy walking down the lane, like looking all tough from Peaky Blinders.
Yeah. It wasn't Peaky Blinders hats, but you know.
I was thinking that meme of like that kid who's like in his pajamas, and it's like my sister's wedding, and he's in a suit, and it's like the Chris Nolan premiere. I don't know. It was just cool though. It was cool to see like that was the most crowded I've ever seen the theater here in Kalamazoo that I go to. It was like a line for popcorn, like all the way to the tickets. I'm like, this feels good. I just felt good about going to the movies.
I think you shouldn't read too much into it, but I think it goes to show, hopefully what we already knew, is that like there's still an appetite for like cool things happening at the movies. It could be like a double feature that's like really weird combination like this, or it could just be like I don't know, Mission Impossible, the next Mission Impossible, or the Top Gun remake. I don't know. People want events where they sit down. We don't all want to just TikTok all the time. Like, there's still a place for movies, I think.
Well, the internet is to thank, I think, for Barbenheimer, right? It wasn't so much like the studios marketing these movies. They were marketed well enough. But for some reason, the internet decided that Barbenheimer is going to fucking blow up, and it did. People, like, memed this into oblivion until where, like, people that I'm sure weren't even interested in this shit were like, yeah, I'm going to go see him. Everyone's talking about him.
Well, Chris Nolan, like, reportedly wasn't thrilled that they were both coming out on the same weekend, but I think it ended up being good for both of them. And, you know, like Josh said, people are going to want to go to the movies. They're going to want to listen to four dudes break down Barbie afterwards.
Hell yeah.
It's what the people want. And what the people want at the end of the podcast is a yes or no for Barbie. I'll go first. Definite hard yes. Very zany. I was trying to describe the movie to my boss. Like, the first adjective that came to mind was just, like, wild. Self-aware, fourth wall breaking, off the wall a lot of times. But, I don't know. Like I said, on that opening weekend, I saw a bunch of, like, girls, like little girls and their moms and stuff going to it. Like, it's a very cool thing, I would say. And I'm very excited for, like, the Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach combo that we have going forward. I hope they stay together for a long time. We've shit on a Noah Baumbach movie.
Is that how you say
what was
that?
one? I don't know. Baumbach?
Baumbach? I don't know.
What was that? The Meyerowitz stories that we did at your house, Josh?
Yeah, we didn't like that. We didn't like it very much.
But I love Little Women. I think if anybody can do the fucking Chronicles of Narnia at Netflix, it might be Greta Gerwig. So I'm excited to see what she does with that. And I don't know, the whole Barbenheimer experience got me excited for movies again. But this movie looks amazing. It's super funny. Had a couple laugh out loud moments. You know, hard yes. Good time at the movies. Zach, you've had a very interesting spoilers guest residency. You've done Suspiria and the Christmas Chronicles and now Barbie. So what say you for Barbie?
That is a hell of a trio right there. I would say a solid yes for me for Barbie. I thought it was highly entertaining. I was laughing a lot the whole time. I was continually impressed by the directions that they went. They didn't take, like, the easy way out like I was expecting with, like, the progression of, like, Barbie's arc and Ken's arc. It was actually pretty complex. There was a lot to chew on there. Like, I can't tell you how many, like, surprisingly in-depth conversations I've had about, like, the gender dynamics of the Barbie movie with different people. And yeah, I think that they pulled off an incredibly difficult balancing act because it's a fun, bubbly, colorful, zany, wild, self-aware movie that, you know, greatly appeals to little kids, but yet us adults have a lot to chew on, and there's a lot of hilarious things about what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman in there. So yeah, absolute solid yes for me. I think there's something for everybody in this movie.
Yeah, it reminded me of, like, old Pixar with some of, like, the joke for adults, joke for kids, you know.
Totally.
Like, entertaining for all ages. Josh, did you go with your kids, Josh? Or was this a solo Josh one for Barbie? Okay.
I actually went to this movie with a coworker, and I really enjoy her review of the movie because she enjoyed it. We laughed a lot together when we watched it. And then when we talked about it, like, the next day, she had, like, thought about it overnight and realized she didn't like a lot of the aspects. I feel like I maybe actually stole a lot from Jane during this pod, because she pointed out all those, like, weak film moments at the end, like with the montage footage and with the White Room, and how all that, even in conglomeration with itself, still didn't really land or something. Just a lot going on there at the end. And the other thing that was funny about Jane is that she gave it a bad review, I think, on her Letterboxd, and then she realized she didn't like the company she was falling in with all the other people that were giving the movie Barbie bad reviews, because a lot of people are like the Ben Shapiro types that don't appreciate like the challenging of stereotypes and gender roles and whatever else this movie puts out there. But sorry, a lot of talking. This movie's so bright and funny. Michael Cera is hilarious. I'm giving this a huge yes. I love it when Ryan Gosling goes full Justin Bieber, wearing the furs and everything. It's a really fun movie, and even if it falls apart a little bit at the end, I think overall the end justifies the means. So, solid yes, Pap.
Last but not least, man who hates comedies, Korey Kylo Ren memes.
This is Korey, Kylo Ren memes. I hate comedies, but I love toys. I love them, Pappy. I'm going to give this movie a yes. I don't love this movie. I don't think it's a great movie in my own personal ranking of movies, not being objective in any way, but subjectively for me, it's not a great movie, but it's a really good movie and it does some things extremely well. What it does best, I think, is capture the aesthetic of this world in a unique way that feels like it fits within the confines of the product Barbie. So that is just really great to see that everything within that world, and then when the world becomes corrupted, is great. Ken, at one point, like in his room, had a Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet, and I saw that like in his little Mojo Dojo Casa house, and I was like, that's small touch, but like it just fits kind of perfectly when the Barbie world becomes corrupted by like, I don't know. I hesitate to say toxic masculinity, but whatever it is that affects the Barbie world. I think the comedy is good. I don't like laugh out loud a lot when I go to a movie, especially if I'm like by myself. Maybe if I'm with like my friends, it'll come up here and there, but the comedy can still work for me despite that. And it did in a lot of places, especially with just like the bonehead that is Ryan Gosling's Ken. Like he's just so great. I heard someone at work talk to someone else at work about this movie. Someone who I could tell just wanted to complain to someone about it. I told him I hadn't seen it yet, so I didn't want to hear anything. But I still overheard what he said to someone else because they were nearby. And he said, I saw Barbie. And the guy goes, okay, how was it? He says, horrible movie. And he says, oh, why? And he says, basically the movie is this. Men are bad, women are good. And now that I've seen it, I think that's like the most smooth brain interpretation of this movie I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't consider the products of Barbie and Ken. And like we talked about earlier, like the role of women in this world, but from the perspective of the Mattel Barbie product, right? Like the woman is the president. It's like President Barbie, right? The woman is every conceivable job in this land. And Ken is just Ken. Who is he? I don't know. He's the guy that comes with Barbie. Are they together? I don't know. Maybe. But what does he do? He does beach, right? Beach. Like he's a professional beach. Like that's why he's called Beach Ken. What does he do? He doesn't do jack shit, right? So again, the idea of like the gender roles within this movie, in my opinion, are like confined to these fake entities of Barbie and Ken. And like what they would be like if it was the Barbie world, or what it would be like if Ken kind of like took this idea of what he perceived to be patriarchy in our world for like one day and kind of like really latched onto that and went as far as he could go with it in the Barbie world. That's what's happening here. So again, I know he doesn't listen, but I think that argument of women bad or women good, men bad is just super simplistic. That being said, this movie can be heavy-handed, and it's kind of annoying and cringy at times when it is. I gotta say it. That's about all I got, other than I guess this is more of a final thought. We do have characters from the DCEU in this movie, like I mentioned, or actors that play characters like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. But when one of the Barbies wakes up from their hypnotic state, they say, it's like I've been living in a dream where I was really invested in the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
And although I can't quite articulate what that means, I feel that I know what that means in my soul. So
I hear you, man. I hear you.
So that clicked with me in a big way. I was like, holy shit. Okay. Fandoms, right? Anyway, that's all I got.
If you want to be a Patreon, you can listen to a 4-hour Snyder Cut commentary with me and Money Mike, where we drink many brewski beers and make
Brewski
jokes
beers
over it.
It's a top 10 bad spoilers episode.
The commentary one?
I mean, it's pretty good, but probably top 10 bad spoilers.
What a great way to sell it.
Let's get a top 10 bad trivia from Josh. Everyone, increasingly worse. Josh, what trivia do you have for us?
Oh, man. I love listening to that. I listened to that whole damn thing with you and Mikey, Pap, so don't be mad at me. I do have trivia for tonight, boys. We're going to call it 3 quotes and you're out. So I have quotes here from choice A, Greta Gerwig, choice 2, Noah Baumbach. Actually,
choice A, choice 2.
Just chill.
It's like Home Alone, A, 2, and D.
Noah Baumbach. So A is Greta, B is Noah, and C or 3 is the combination of D&D, the writers and interpreters of Game of Thrones. What are their names?
Boy.
Benioff and
Dumbass.
Whatever.
D&D.
You know who we're
Dungeons
talking
and
about.
Dragons.
Dan and David. So you have choices A, B, and C. We can you can like ask me to remind you which one is which as we go on. But 3 strikes and you're out. Pappy, we'll start with you. I'm gonna roll a dice. It's gonna tell me which of the 3.
Are you doing it in the voices of those 3?
You know, we don't have Money Mike to do the soundboard, so I think we're just gonna do the quotes tonight. Maybe in the post-production we can play some music, but
I want some streets in the background.
I'm gonna roll for the person who it is. And by the way, the only thing I'll change in the quote is sometimes the D&D quotes say we, and I will change those all to I.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, so I'm going to roll the dice to see who it is and then draw a card 1 through 11 to see what quote you have. So here you go, Pat. Okay. And... okay. This is the first one, Pap. Is it Greta, Noah, or D&D? It's hard to be a person in the world and care about other people.
Greta Gerwig.
I don't know how you did it, but you did it. That's correct. It's a Greta quote.
Awesome.
Nice, dude.
D&D aren't that self-aware to say something like that.
Yeah.
Kylo, you ready?
Yeah.
Roll the dice. Does that sound like I'm drawing a card? I'm just like wiping them against each other. I don't know. Okay. Here we go. Your quote is, "The thing about a good story is you have to keep it interesting to yourself."
D&D?
Kylo, that is another Greta quote. It's your first strike. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. All right, here you go, Zach.
Let's hear it. What's up?
All right. The quote is, "I think women are very strong, and women's friendships are incredibly powerful." So now that's either Greta, Noah, or D&D.
That's a
Greta
tough
and Noah
one.
are a couple. Power.
Yeah. I honestly don't have a strong instinct. I'm just going to say Greta.
It is the third Greta quote in a row.
Oh, all right.
My dice are being crazy over here. Okay.
Fair enough.
Back to you, Pat. Rolling the dice. Okay. Drawing the card. She's got power. She doesn't apologize for it. The whole idea of that character and the whole idea of those scenes, she's coming in and are coming into her own. That
That's
ending,
100% good.
the scene she's in are her coming into her own, is how I should have
That's
read that.
100% D&D.
Why do you're correct. Why do you say that?
I remember them saying that on a fucking after the episode when Daenerys burned the town, and everyone would be like, "What the fuck are you talking about? She's committing genocide."
Oh, they were referring to that shit?
Yep.
Wow.
Good call, Pat.
I remember them saying that. I was there.
All right, here you go, Zach. Here's yours.
All right, let's hear it.
Plenty of quotes from Greta, Noah, and D&D left. So just because we got a few Greta ones doesn't mean her probability is lower. Still a roll of dice.
True.
Anyway, here we go. Your quote is, "You know you're doing something right if the characters feel like they're telling you what to write."
Again, no strong instinct for me. I'll just mix it up and say Noah.
That is another D&D quote.
Oh,
It's your
okay.
first strike.
Fair enough.
I feel like they probably were just paraphrasing something they heard George Martin say.
I believe it. I believe it.
Kylo,
We're passing the buck.
rolling
we didn't
for you.
write it. It wrote itself.
There you have it.
Kylo, I think being specific is a good thing, and there's a way to be specific that's universal.
Who is the most specific of them? I'm gonna say Greta.
It is Greta, Kylo. Great answer.
So many Gretas.
Pap, we're back to you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You have 0 strikes. Whoa. Okay, rolled. And your quote. You have to earn your happy ending. You have to believe it.
Noah?
How did you come to that conclusion? You were
Because there
right.
haven't been any Noahs yet.
Okay, just a mathematical. But it's just a roll of the dice. No cheats. Here we go, Zach.
Okay, go for it.
All right. Got your quote. Being critical and being observant is an important thing.
D&D.
It's Greta.
Oh.
Back to old Greta.
Hey.
2 strikes for you, Zach. You're okay.
All the good quotes come from Greta tonight.
You're all right. You're all right. Here we go, Kylo. All right, I got it. Here's the quote. It's her saying, I have something I've been working for my entire life since I was a little girl. Now I have it, and everyone is going to have to deal with it.
D&D?
It's another Daenerys quote from D&D.
Nice. Nice.
I'm glad you didn't get that one, Pat. Would have been too easy for you. But we are back to you, Pat. Here's the roll of the dice. Yep. Okay. And your quote. In order to make something good, you have to be willing to throw something away.
My first instinct said D&D, but that's a good quote, and I don't think they're that smart, so I'm going to say Greta.
That is a Greta Gerwig quote.
See?
Good lord.
Nice.
Zach, you're living on the precipice here. 2 strikes.
Got
Here's
it.
your roll.
All right.
Okay. Rolled. And your quote. When you're adapting a book, you don't have to make up characters in the plot. That's all there.
Crap. I'll go ahead and say Greta.
It is D&D. Maybe it was too obvious since they adapted the book.
Yeah,
it didn't have much to go on afterwards.
Yeah.
That's true. No, I thought that was a tricky one, Zach.
That's all right.
Kylo, you and Pappy are in a pap off. You doing okay? Kylo, you got stamina still? You good?
Pap off.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can hang in there.
I just rolled for you. Here's your quote. It's always dangerous to give the audience exactly what they want.
I'm going to say that is true. I do agree with that quote. So, if I say... I got to say D&D. I feel like I have to.
It is a D&D, but it sounds smart because I think it's another one they stole from George. You and Pap are doing great. Only 1 strike between the 2 of you. Still got a few quotes here, though. You ready, Pat?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Here's your quote. Talking about a character in one of their pieces of media. I had made a note to put this in there. I knew I wanted to do something with her that was even more personal than what we'd done before. That meant I had to let go of a certain kind of strict narrative structure.
I believe that's Noah probably talking about Frances Ha.
It is, and that's really lame that you know that specifically. What the hell?
This is insane.
Yeah, it's him talking about Greta, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go, Kylo. Are these too easy? Kylo? Pap? Here we go.
For me.
Yeah.
Here's a quote. As a writer, you want to make sure that you're always changing and evolving and trying new things.
As a writer, they say. I'm going to say Greta.
D&D.
See, I was leaning in that direction, and I was like, nah, there's too much D&D quotes in here.
No, all of the words had one syllable. It's a D&D quote.
Also, they said "and" like 3 times in a row. And. Like, yeah, you're
as a writer. It's not a good way to start off.
You got to remind everybody that they're writers.
As the king.
As the king of this land.
All right, Pap, no strikes. Maybe at this point you're just looking at a perfect game. Let's see if you can keep it going. Your quote. I don't see the female characters as being supportive to male characters. They're as important as any of the characters.
I don't see female characters. D&D?
That is a Noah quote.
Oh, damn it.
Isn't that so lame? Female characters are just like any other. It's like they're over half of the characters.
D&D.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Okay, Kyle, here you go. Your quote. It's very helpful to have a book to refer back to see what the characters do in similar situations.
D&D.
Good call, Kylo.
Yeah.
Didn't overthink it. Pat? Okay. In all my movies, I have female characters who are such a part of the fabric of the movie and so much of the inspiration for the movie.
Gotta be Noah.
Noah again, just loving the women that Noah. Here we go, Kylo. Still got a few quotes, still doing good. Here we go. You have to kill characters you love in order to stay true to the world that you're creating.
D&D.
Staying alive, Kylo. Pappy, still got a couple left of each. Here we go. Here is the quote. I believe there's a whole other way to look at the world that's not just the way we've been told to look at it.
Greta Gerwig.
How'd you do that?
Because that was a smart quote.
A whole other way?
Yeah. Any of these that are interesting, it's her.
A whole nother way.
Zach, what are you thinking about this performance right now between these two?
I think it's phenomenal, man. The energy is electric.
The crowd is going crazy. Yeah. Here we go, Kylo. Here is your quote. As a writer and filmmaker, I'm attracted to stories that don't have easy answers.
Noah.
It is Noah. We're going to start doing this a little quicker.
My gosh.
Here we go, Pat.
This is crazy.
Okay. Here's the quote. You want people to leave the theater and continue to think about the movie.
Greta?
It's Noah. That's your second strike. Kylo, to stay in the game. Okay, your quote. I think humor is a very serious thing.
Greta.
That's Noah. That's 3 strikes for Kylo. Pappy, you ended up with 2 strikes. You kept fouling a bunch of balls off. It was really impressive, that at bat you just had. Would you please give us the hottest of takes and toss it out to Spoiler Man for us?
All right. I guess on this topic, hot take. I feel like, listen, I make fun of D&D. They're shitty writers. I feel like the internet's not as sympathetic to D&D as they should be. I won't do my whole George Martin rant, but they did like 3 seasons of television, 4.5 seasons of television really, really fucking well. They made like a wild fantasy story, the biggest show in the fucking world, and they kind of ran out of runway, and they never signed up to finish the books, and it's taken George 12 years to write the next book. That's how complicated and hard it is. So, I don't know. They suck, but I feel like the internet's too mean to them. And also, people have to stop replying to everything George posts with, when's the winter coming? Like, dude, he just wants to post about going to Barbie with his wife. You don't have to quote tweet it and be like, well, I guess we're not getting when's the winter because of that. Just, it is what it is at this point. He's got to die before the series is done. Just be at peace with it. But I think Zach should actually say the magic words, take it away, Spoiler Man. We don't get Zach often enough on the podcast. We got to have you back for spooky
by all
spoilers.
means.
Before you say take it away, Zach.
Okay.
I loved having you on so much.
Oh,
it
thanks,
reminded me just of why it's so fun to hang out with you in the first place. Thanks for joining up.
Dude.
Please let it not be 2 years before the next one.
By all means, man. I would be happy to come back, especially for spooky spoilers.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Yeah. All right, so what's my line that I'm saying? Take it away?
Spoiler Man.
All right. Here we go, folks. Take it away, Spoiler Man.
Nice.
Special thank you to our patrons: Matt Troll, Brother Brian, Druid King, Nick, The Meg, Nurse Stacy, The Wolf, Barky 420, PK, Spencer, Gale, Swole, Cheese Zombie, Sebastian, Dr. Lars. If you'd like to request an episode, hear your name read by Spoiler Man, or even just help us make podcasts, please check us out on patreon.com/spoilerspodcast. Be sure to check out Korey's podcast, Big Dumb Movie. Our email is podcastspoilers@gmail.com. Twitter is @spoilers_pod. Our Instagram is Podcast Spoilers. It's lit. Josh Hensley from the Rutabaga wrote our theme song. Please support this podcast by leaving us an iTunes review. To do this, 1. Search for Movie Spoilers. 2. Click on our orange Spoilers Bowl logo and scroll all the way to the bottom. 3. Leave us some stars and some words. Now you can check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Spoilers is now available on Audible.
Might just have to cut that out and use it as our end all the time.
A sound bite. Nice, dude.
All right, thanks, guys. I gotta take off.
I'll send you a link tomorrow, Kylo. See you, man.
Have a great night.
How is my audio?
Well, I don't know.
Could you hear me? I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, you sounded clear. It wasn't like your typical... It's a little weird. It's loud and clear, though.
Yeah, it's clear. Maybe just a little bit tinny, but I can hear you clearly. There's like no issue, like, understanding what you're saying. It's clear.
See, I didn't know. I had like my Bluetooth was weird, and like I was like, you guys would go in and out sometimes. I get all like computery, but
no, you weren't doing anything like that.
Okay, good.
How long was that pod? Kylo really had to jet.
Hour and a half. Sorry, we started late.
That's true. Yeah.
That's a good range for us. That should be an easy edit, I feel like, as well.
The movie's also on like 1, 2, 3 movies, if that's easier than using.
You know what? A hilarious meme I saw about Oppenheimer is the Reddit post before you clicked on it said, "If Christopher Nolan didn't use any CGI, how does he explain this, huh?" And then you click on it, and it's Oppenheimer playing on like 1, 2, 3 movies with like that poker slot ad on the bottom, and all it's like the cards flying.
There's one with like LeBron James and like cricket players show up for like sports betting. Josh, are you making a folder? I can right now.
I have not made anything yet because I can't. I'm like, when Google unfortunately signs you out at like the wrong time and you have to go to 2-factor and all that shit.
Yeah,
that's where I'm sitting right now.
Here, I got it actually.
Trying to get
Barbie. Yeah, Zach, you got to come on more often. It's so fun.
Heck yeah, dude! I'd love to be on more often.
And Mandy, I forgot you were on Mandy too, weren't you?
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
that
was yes.
That's your quintessential episode.
Honestly. Oh shit! Yeah, man, I really connected with Mandy. Like, it was one of the coolest theater going experiences that I've had over the last several years. Like, I was just blown away by it when I saw it in theater. So I had a lot to say about that one.
I think about that movie a lot, actually. Like, it just randomly pops in my head. I'm like, that movie's so fucking good.
It really is, man. Nick Cage just fucking goes on an epic journey into the underworld, man. Like, he transforms. It's fucking cool. So well made.
Pat thinks
Can you access that link, Zach?
Let's see. Let me check the chat here. Yeah, looks like it. So, yep. I'm there. Google Drive.
Sending that to Kylo in a side chat right now. Okay.
Where do I find my voice app recordings, or can I do it from the app?
Thanks again for the late notice join up, Zach. Hopefully your wife's all cool with it.
Oh yeah. No, as soon as you messaged me, I talked to her and I was just like, hey, we're hanging out. We're gonna take our time, but if we end up going home, I'm gonna do this podcast. Yeah, it's a long story, but basically we went to a reception. I just got a new job teaching art at a high school, and they had like a countywide what's the word I'm looking for? It was a cocktail party. It was like a meet and greet for new teachers. So we went to that, and then we just went and chilled downtown, hitting up some bars afterwards. And then the timing just worked out great. We're ready to go back home, and I was like, hey, time to talk some Barbie with these crazy guys. All right, Barbie, because that's what pros do. That's what pros do. I mean, hey, I can say officially that Barbie has something for everybody, man. Men and women alike. Let's see, upload.
If you honestly get pissed at this movie as a man, that's pretty weak sauce, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't really make a ton of sense because it kind of deconstructs like everything, like all aspects of femininity, all aspects of masculinity. It's not, I think it's simplistic to say that it's just like a feminist movie. It's more than that, in my opinion. It's more complicated than that. It's not just saying that men suck. It's not, there's way more to the movie than that.
You okay there, Pappy?
Yeah, sorry, I just switched audio back to my headphones on my phone. I think I'm all uploaded. Good.
Let's see, Barbie recording.
I hope my audio sounds okay. There were a couple times where I think my other headphones were bleeding through, but I can also clean my track tomorrow afternoon if you want.
Well, I wouldn't worry about it. You sounded pretty good on the Skype, to be honest. Everyone did.
Good.
I gotta buy an XLR cord. Or do you think you might have picked mine up, Josh? by
Yeah.
chance?
I think it's in this pile, but I'll check that more tomorrow, man.
Oh, no rush.
We should all roll. Good shit, boys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks again, Zach.
No problem, man. I'm uploading the file to Drive right now. It should be good. If for some reason it's not, let me know, because I also have the Audacity file that I can upload, no problem.
No problem.
Yep.
Thanks again.
No problem, guys. All right, guys. Have an awesome night. See you next time.
Yeah, soon.
Later, guys.
That was Spoilers.